I would like to introduce you to my good friend, Jeff Box. Now, Jeff is just a normal, happening dude. He's also very lucky because you see, most of the things in the world is usually designed for Jeff. Hey, my name is Werner Puchert and I believe that most of the world's problems are just interesting design challenges in disguise. Now, the first question you probably have is, what the hell is up with the color of this video? Now, you've been watching the introduction through the eyes of someone who's potentially colorblind. If you didn't notice a difference, maybe you need to get your eyes tested. Now, you're probably getting the gist of where I'm going with this video. The second thing I wanted to point out is this Jeff is not real. But then why are we always designing for these ideal Jeffs out there? I also want to note that I have a real friend called Jeff, and he's everything but normal. So, the issue that I'm trying to highlight here is that we're always designing for the normal people, or the people like us. But there's so many diverse cultures, languages, races, and of course, people with different abilities, like color blindness. The challenge we face, though, is that we have our own inherent biases. I think that I'm aware of it. However, I'm also aware of the fact that it's very hard to counter that bias. So when I work on a project, I try to get other perspectives in, I get other opinions. And then, of course, there's companies and teams out there that have a whole team dedicated to accessibility and catering to people with different abilities. Now, that's not only the right thing to do, in my opinion. However, if I have a product and service that can fulfill a need of someone who have different abilities, I would like to do the business with that person because everybody has a wallet. So it's also in our business interest. However, like I mentioned, we don't always have access to a team, and even if you have, they all have their own biases as well. So I want to introduce you to an interesting tool that I found recently from Frog Design. It's called Cards for Humanity. Now, I don't always get to review digital products, so let's have some fun. Great, so here we are at the Cards for Humanity website. Of course, it doesn't escape me that there's an awesome little card game out there called Cards Against Humanity. Super fun, but this is Cards for Humanity, and its aim is to help you design a more inclusive world. Let's get cracking here. I'm gonna click on the Deal Cards button. It's the first thing you wanna do, and then let's talk about the mechanic. First of all, it works on a mechanic that leverages whole idea of randomization. I've seen card decks and maybe reviewed a couple of card decks that uses this mechanic, and it helps you kind of combine a whole different set of different random scenarios, which is super efficient and effective. There's about 52 flashcards, I've been told, but you can't go and explore these individually. You have to kind of hit on Deal New Pair, and you'll see new combinations come up. Now let's look a little bit closer at the combinations. On the left-hand side, you have a persona. So here I have Svetlana, who's 85 years old and has a very direct communication style. And on the right-hand side, you have a specific trait for Svetlana. So in this case, Svetlana has sprained their ankle. Now, what's also cool about this, like you can't explore them individually, but let's say Svetlana doesn't really fit the bill, or you want to explore some other personas. Specifically on the persona side, you can always tell it to swap the card. So it's going to animate out and bring you in a new persona. So this is Sanjay, very impulsive. Or you can go to Lupe, who's 16 and is overly trusting, but then also has a sprained ankle. Maybe you want to swap that out. You can also swap out the traits. So then you have like has dyslexia, for example. You can also go into and is listening to loud music. So the traits are quite interesting and is partially deaf. So let's just leave it there for a second. So let's say we are happy with this combination. Now, what do I know about people who are 16 years old? I'm an old fart, so let me go look at Lupe's specific needs. You click on the View Needs here, and then there's a couple of notes here and things that you need to consider. So some people believe something they've read or heard without questioning. So this is a trait that Lupe has. Some people may not have access or know where to look for trustworthy sources. So this is a little bit more information about this specific persona. Then on the right-hand side, what does it mean to be partially deaf, right? I can make assumptions, or I can click on View Needs here, and then here's a couple of notes to consider. So people with hearing loss may not be able to hear verbal announcements or listen to any content. So if you're building something digital, you might want to consider that. They might not be able to communicate over the phone. That's something to keep in mind. Also, what's nice about the trait is that some of these trait cards also have a little bit of kind of context and statistics around what you need to consider when it comes to partial hearing. So if I click on that again, swaps back. Of course, if I'm not happy with this persona, I can deal a new one, right? And so you can continue and you can swap out these personas at will until it builds something that you want to work with. However, I would say stick with the random pair because that's usually where the challenges are. Now, I also want to point out that there's also a very nice additional element here. So if you click on the About button here, you'll notice that Frog has also gone out and built a nice plugin for this tool. So if I jump into Figma, so if you go over to the plugins and you go look for Cards for Humanity, which I have over here, you fire that up, brings a little pop-up, and then you can do the same functionality within the Figma space, right? So I also understand that this works in FigJam. I don't use Figma that much, don't judge me, but you have all the functionality here. So if you click, you can go into the considerations, you can deal new pairs here, you can swap the cards out, of course, which is a great little additional add-on. Cardsforhumanity.frog.co, head over there, start using it right now, and also grab the free Figma plugin. But why and how you want to use this? First thing I would use it for is with my team to explore my and their own biases. Great tool to do that. Other thing is, like I said, I like to do business and I like to build products and features that are great for customers, but then also great for my wallet, is that you might be able to spark a couple of new ideas and concepts that you can build into your product or service. Then finally, and probably more importantly, that Vanna's wallet is that we should all drive towards building a more inclusive world. Doesn't mean we should exclude the Jeffs, but perhaps consider that there is more than the Jeffs out there. But do give your Jeff a little bit of a hug. Also want to thank my son for building Jeff. Pretty artistic, right? And also want to thank you for watching this video. Would love to hear if there's any tools and services out there that you specifically use around accessibility. It's a very broad topic and I just kind of skipped across it. But thanks to the guys from Frog for building something awesome like this. And then, as always, thanks for watching and catch you in the comments.